Okay then guys, what is going on? CloudPlays here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Outriders, and Outriders is in a spot right now where the game is probably at the best it's ever been, although there still is some movement that I reckon it can make. There are a few features that a lot of us really wish would come into the game and are yet to even still take face. Some things are actually really simple adjustments and things that you could probably add in very easily, and today we're going to be talking about those. So if you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. But with that being said, let's get into it. Now, to begin with, something which is absolutely huge for me, and yet probably a really simple implication, is the favorite button. Yes, we've all been through that difficult time where we have obtained an absolute shed ton of loot. We've been on the hunt for something specific all bloody day, and we managed to get hold of that piece of loot, and silly old you actually manages to mark it and delete it within an instant. The favorite button for me is something which is really important, especially with the way that this game is right now. There are so many damn good builds that require specific mods, of which at this moment in time are very difficult to get, especially if you want them in a specific rotation. Take for instance the piece of leg armor, the Techmonger's leg armor. Yesterday I was on the hunt for a mod 3 Virulent compound in the 3rd slot. This was something which was basically essential to my build, as I needed to have improved coolant and freeze and boost on top of that, and it was something that I really needed to get. Now, I don't know how I managed to windle this, but I managed to actually get it around 2 hours into wanting to get hold of it. Now, once I actually managed to get hold of it, and then I just bloody deleted it. Yeah, it really happened quite quickly, and I don't think I've been so distraught for a little while. But on top of that, what actually happened for me was I actually got extremely lucky again later on and managed to get a Virulent compound on the 3rd slot. Don't ask how I done it, I have no freaking clue. But 9 times out of 10, that does not happen at all, and you can farm for days on end looking for a specific piece of gear to add into your build, and you just will not obtain it. Now, this is a huge issue, although even if you do have it to that standard still, the only way that we can resolve this problem is by hitting a favorite button, meaning that you can't just instantly delete it. You have to unfavorite it to mark it, and that would be an absolutely huge detail. That would stop these things from happening quite frequently and would probably stop the rage of a lot of Outriders. Although this seems like a very small point, I don't really understand why it's not been added already. In looter shooters, this is something which is quite common, mainly because there is so much loot in this game and each piece of loot has so many variable roles that you can get. This is, for me, something which is probably one of the top things they need to adjust. Next up, I know this is something that a lot of people have been asking for, and they've been asking for it for a very long time, and that is a loadout manager. So much so that essentially what we're stating is, as far as armor and weapons at least, you are able to have a loadout point. So you can take those pieces, combine them into a loadout, and then you can switch through your loadouts. What this would do was increase replayability tenfold. The main reason for this is because most people, myself included, are nervous about taking off their gear and moving over to try and make a brand new build revolved around something completely different, and it not working, then reverting back to the build that they had previously, to find out that the likelihood is that they have either changed a piece of the gear and it's no longer exactly what it was, or they have no longer got that piece of gear because they may have accidentally deleted it or something of that kind. Being able to have a loadout manager where you can simply go into your stash, open up a loadout and bring out the gear for that, or even set it to a point where if you have them in a loadout, it would favorite them themselves, click on the loadout and it would automatically equip that loadout of weapons and armor. Now, I'm not going to go to the extent of skills and class points because I feel like that's absolutely obscene and something which, even if we are asking for loadout managers, is just way too much to ask for. Being able to have all of your points accumulated into the same thing, plus your skills, plus your armor, plus your weapons, and have all of that packaged up, and when you click on it, it all alters for you. That's not likely to ever happen. But a loadout manager for the armor and the weapons is not unrealistic, and I think actually actually, for where the game is at, they are the perfect additions to the game. They are things that will make the game a lot more enjoyable and give it a lot more play diversity, with you being able to have some more replayability around making new builds and not really panicking about not having. And finally, another thing that I think would be very cool, although I don't know how it would be implemented, but it was just something that I'd randomly thought of, was a legendary wish list. And what I mean by that is actually being able to put into a wish list a specific armor piece that you need. You want it to have specific roles on it, and if you add those in, then you will end up actually having a highlighted piece of gear if and when that piece drops. What that essentially means is farming becomes a lot easier in that regard, but it also gives you guys something to work towards. So state that I want maybe a imploder with the third mod slot to have fortress in it, or I want mage's rage and fortress on that one piece, or I want mage's rage in the third slot, or something like that. Being able to go over to your wish list, click on the imploder, select the third mod for fortress, and if that actually shows up in your inventory, it will highlight with a little gold icon or a little star or some sort of marker to be able to show you guys that that now has dropped. A item wish list would be very, very cool, because it would also help you preload for new builds, so you could sit there and select all of this gear and all the equipment that you may need to be able to select into a new build, and stuff that you can work towards to being able to get that build optimized in the way that you want it. And then once you've actually got that wish list completed, it's all a basis of rinsing and repeating and playing the game through, going through the general loot cycle and being able to farm your way to get to the wish list gear that you want. This again is a very, very easy implementation, I could presume. I don't actually code games and I don't deal with all of that sort of shenanigans, but I can imagine that that would not be too much of an ask as far as being able to add in an additional implementation. A wish list would actually really change the way that you play when it comes to actually being able to utilize a build primarily. This would mean that you will not miss a piece of gear when 20 odd pieces of gear are dropping at the end boss, or when you're going through an expedition and 13 pieces of gear will drop there. This essentially means that even though when you're playing on a general basis you may miss some of these things, because realistically with the amount of loot that drops in this game, you're not every time going to guarantee that you can find that piece of gear that you're looking for. This does give a bit of an insight and a bit of a helping hand to the players hunting for that final piece of gear, or hunting for that final build that they really want to utilize. You may not ever get them, and it may not even give you an increased chance, but the fact that the wish list exists would definitely give you guys a little bit more of a positive outcome. These are just 3 things that I really think they should be adding into Outriders, and 3 things that I think would really help us as players to be able to utilize the characters to the nth degree. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's all we've got time for today. If you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. Thank you so much again for watching. Appreciate you all, and as always, I'll see you in the clouds.